When the Bayraktar TB2 was unveiled, the world's defense experts laughed. A slow, clumsy drone built by a small Turkish company. Not even close to America's Reapers or Israel's Herons. They said it was a toy. Too fragile to survive a real war. Too cheap to be taken seriously. But just a few years later, that same toy would destroy tanks, hunt ships, and humiliate some of the most powerful armies on Earth. This is the story of how the Bayraktar TB2 went from a national experiment to a global phenomenon, and how those who mocked it soon feared the sound of its wings. The story begins not in Washington or Moscow, but in Istanbul. In the early 2000s, Turkey was still dependent on foreign weapons. When it asked to buy armed drones from the US, the answer was clear: no. So a small family-owned company, Baykar Makina, decided to do the impossible. Led by a young engineer named Selçuk Bayraktar, they started building their own drones from scratch, in garages and workshops. At the time, no one believed they could succeed. Even within Turkey's military, there was doubt. How can a small tech startup compete with billion-dollar American defense giants? Generals whispered. But Selçuk believed otherwise. He once said, "The future of warfare belongs not to the biggest, but to the smartest." What started as a dream became an obsession. By 2014, their prototype, the Bayraktar TB2, was ready. It looked awkward. Long wings, thin frame, small propeller. But inside was a revolution: autonomous flight control, precision cameras, and cheap smart munitions. Still, the world laughed until war gave it a stage. In 2019 and 2020, the TB2 faced its first real tests in Syria and Libya. When Syrian forces advanced on Idlib, Turkish troops responded. Not with jets, but with drones. For the first time in history, an entire air campaign was conducted remotely. Within 72 hours, Syrian tanks and artillery were decimated. Russian-made air defenses, once feared across the Middle East, were destroyed by a swarm of cheap Bayraktars. Then came Libya. Russian Wagner mercenaries supplied the Libyan National Army with cutting-edge Pantsir air defense systems. Analysts expected the drones to be wiped out immediately. Instead, Bayraktars hunted the hunters. One by one, the Pantsirs were hit. Their crews realized too late that these toys could see them before they could lock on. The laughter stopped. Military analysts began asking a new question. Had Turkey just rewritten the rulebook of modern warfare? But it was in Ukraine where the Bayraktar would make history. When Russia invaded in February 2022, the world expected Kyiv to fall in days. Columns of tanks, missile trucks, and convoys stretching for miles rolled toward the capital. Then a small buzzing sound filled the sky. Ukrainian soldiers called it the Angel's Hum. It was the Bayraktar. In the first days of the invasion, TB2s struck convoys, destroyed mobile air defenses, and crippled logistics lines. Videos spread across the internet. Precision strikes filmed from the drones themselves. Explosions lighting up the night. These clips didn't just show destruction. They told a story of resilience, defiance, and ingenuity. The Bayraktar song, written by Ukrainian soldiers, went viral overnight. For a moment, the drone became more than a weapon. It became a symbol of hope. Russia's elite units, equipped with advanced air defense, found themselves humiliated by an aircraft that cost less than one of their missiles. The balance of psychological warfare had shifted. Even when Russian electronic warfare began to jam and target TB2s, the legend was already born. In every conflict zone, generals whispered its name: Bayraktar. How did such a cheap, slow drone outperform billion-dollar systems? The answer lies not in power, but in philosophy. The TB2 was not designed to dominate alone. It was designed to multiply force. Each drone could stay airborne for over 24 hours, guiding artillery, scouting enemy positions, and striking targets when needed. It used MAM-L smart munitions, small but deadly, hitting with surgical precision. And it costs less than a single missile. That meant it could be built in numbers. Hundreds, not dozens. While traditional militaries built fewer, more expensive platforms, Turkey built many, cheaper, smarter ones. It was the industrial logic of modern warfare. The same logic that once made the clunky P-47 Thunderbolt a nightmare for the Luftwaffe. Quantity became its own quality. 100 small eyes in the sky could outsmart one mighty machine. Today, the Bayraktar TB2 is no longer underestimated. Over 30 countries, from Poland and Ukraine to Qatar and Ethiopia, have bought or licensed it. Its success has inspired a wave of drone innovation, swarms, AI-guided systems, and loitering munitions. And Baykar didn't stop. They developed the Akinci, a heavy combat drone carrying missiles, and are working on Kızılelma, a jet-powered, stealthy, unmanned fighter. The world has taken notice. Even NATO analysts admit, the age of drone warfare has a Turkish accent. What began as mockery is now reshaping global strategy. From battlefields to defense policies, everyone is adapting to the new reality. The next great military revolution won't come from billion-dollar jets. It will come from the hum of small propellers. They called it weak. They called it cheap. They said it would never survive a real war. But from Syria's deserts to Ukraine's skies, the Bayraktar proved one timeless truth, that innovation and determination can defeat arrogance and power. Like the Iron Ship, like the P-47, like every underestimated creation before it, it turned laughter into fear and changed the world forever.